So you'll often hear the term crested penguin thrown about, and someone actually showed me in the gift shop the other day, one of the penguins is called a crested penguin. But this is not the name of the penguin species, but for the group of species. So all these birds from the guide are crested penguins. And you'll see that they all have those lovely yellow or yellow-orange plumes from their eyebrows. But these are each distinctive species. And we'd like to say that there's 6 different crested penguins, but those eagle-eyed of you will notice that there's actually 7 on the board. Because the rockhopper and the northern rockhopper, the biologists are still debating over if they're the same or not. But that's it by the by for today. So the one we've seen today, the rockhopper, and the one that we are sort of on the hunt for in the next few days will be the macaroni penguin as well. We'll be on the hunt for. But today I'm going to concentrate on the rockhopper penguin. So this is it here. So this is the smallest of the polar penguins. They're smaller species in the world. The smallest polar penguin, and this is the littlest one we'll see along our trip. And they stand about 50 centimetres high and weigh really a maximum of 2.5 kilos. So yeah, really small, really sturdy little bird. And I had quite a lot of folk ask me in the colony today why lots of them didn't have this striking sort of yellow plumes yet. And you'll see down here at the bottom that the immature birds, although they have a yellow eyebrow, they don't have that lovely plumes that sort of flow off the back. So maybe hopefully what you were seeing was some of the immature birds which come back to the colony to socialise. And then hopefully we see lots of the little fluff balls today as well, tucked in under there, which is nice. So these rockhopper penguins are circumpolar, so they breed in lots of places around the world, and usually between 44 and 55 degrees in latitude. So here we are. So here we are in the Falklands, and they often breed the bottom of South America as well. So just to give you an idea, their range is quite spread, but you'll notice that where we're going, there's no marks for them. So we really want to enjoy these rockhopper penguins while we're going to the Falkland Islands. So we know that they come back to their breeding season, they really like these rocky slopes, and this morning we got the joy of seeing them in amongst the black-eyed albatross. And then maybe some of you noticed in the afternoon visit to Saunders Island that they nested in with the imperial shags. So they're just a social species, so they like to do this. So this was a photo from today. Not a very good photo, sorry Eve, where our photographer is, but this was my one from today. So the birds really return to their breeding colonies in October time, and the males tend to return first, but just a few days ahead of the females. And if you just think about how unbelievable it is, but they really like the same patch of rock or stones that they've bred in for the previous years. So to us it just sort of looks like a stony squeeze slope, stony mess, but to them they know those sites individually, so they will return to the exact same site. Now once the females are in, penguins tend to pair together for several years, maybe not for a full lifetime as people like to say, but for a few years anyway. The rockhopper penguins lay 2 eggs. So the first one is a smaller egg, so this is called the A egg, a smaller one. And unusually for birds, the second egg, the B egg, is actually much bigger. So if you would have noticed in the colony today, when they had tiny little chicks, they often had 2. So they can hatch out both the A and the B egg. But when we've seen the birds with bigger chicks, there's usually only 1 left. And this is always the B chick. So the scientists still aren't sure why the birds bother with this A chick, because the rockhoppers will basically never raise that A chick. So it's quite an unusual thing to happen in the birds. But it'll also be seen in the macaroni penguins too, so those other crested penguins. So anyway, so we've got our bee chick here. The bee chick will be brooded, which means that the parents sort of stand over it to keep it nice and warm for up to 3 weeks. And then after 3 weeks, the colony sort of completely changes because all the chicks will come together in what we call a creche. So like a little bit like kindergarten. The chicks come together, and then it means that lots of the adults can go out to the sea to feed, to come back and bring the food to the chicks, while several nannies, we like to call them, look after the creches of chicks. So yeah, absolutely beautiful. And then after about 10 weeks in total, those chicks will be ready to go out to the sea and go and forage for themselves and live their lives. Lovely. Everyone got a chance to see the Magellanic penguins today? Yeah, everyone get to see them? Yeah, very good. Nods all around the room. So you'll notice these penguins don't have crests, so we call these banded penguins as sort of a collective group. And you'll notice you may have seen them in other places around the world, very similar looking birds. So we've got the Humboldt penguin up the sides of South America, and we've got the African penguin in Cape Town. So the same as the crested, they're all very similar, but different species. So the Magellanic's what we have today. So these are beautifully black and white, and their distinguishing feature is that they have the 2 black stripes on their chest. So you don't see that in the other banded penguins. So yeah, just something to keep your eyes open for. They're slightly taller at about 70 centimetres, and these chunks can weigh up to 7 kilos. So this is more my kind of penguin, a little bit heavier after their dinner. And just to show you the distribution around the world now, is they are very much confined to here. So to South America, the tip down at Tierra del Fuego, and then out to the Falkland Islands. So this is a really restricted distribution. That's why it's so important that we see them. And one of the other nice things is that these birds, they're certainly more tolerant of the heat than other penguins. So hopefully we'll speak about this as we go along. But out in the sea, there's sort of an invisible boundary called the Antarctic convergence. And basically these birds will only breed above it. So they don't like those cold waters below the convergence. So that's why we don't see them any further south. So unfortunately this will be a few weeks away yet, but those of you that were with us near the burrows, this is what's hiding down in the burrows. They're lovely little chicks. So yeah, so because they're more tolerant of hotter environments, the way they sort of combat this is they actually burrow into the ground. So they'll use their sharp claws of their feet and they'll burrow out those, it's usually like sandy, so really quite soft soil. And their burrows can be up to 2 meters deep. And down in that burrow, they'll have 2 eggs. And yeah, that's where they sort of raise their chicks there. So for both of these birds, I think that's my last slide of it. So for both of these birds, world populations are just up over 1 million breeding pairs. But unfortunately for both the bird species here, they're having huge declines in their populations, and particularly that's noted in the Falklands populations, which are starved. So they're really losing habitat because we are clearing it back. The fisheries and the overfishing of their food is having a huge impact, as well as climate change is affecting when their food is available. So although we got to see lots of penguins today, these are really sort of diminishing populations from what people would have seen years ago. So just to keep that in mind. So we're incredibly lucky to get to see them, and we'll see how their populations go in the future.